I have diabetes. I'm a diabetic. I knew that one day my genes would come and haunt me. And I was passed out for, I think, about 10, 12 hours. Relax. Okay, everyone's just freaking out. And like, guys, I'm a healthcare professional. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Becoming Shika. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for all the support you've shown on my previous video. I was talking about the time I spent at Vista Clinic in Centurion for a psychiatric admission. Those were tough times, not the admission, the months before, and I'd actually like to talk a little bit about depression. Okay, so I tried to film yesterday. Twice. I had the makeup on, I had everything on, and then all of a sudden I don't have enough storage. And then I'm like, okay, no, it's cool. I buy storage and it says the same thing. So I spent something like an hour talking in front of this ring light, and I had about 5 minutes of footage. And you know, me and a friend of mine are on this productivity schedule. Oh my gosh, like yesterday was a horrific day. And you know what? I actually have a lot of respect for fellow YouTubers because it takes a lot of effort to like set up a ring light, get the mic you need, ask all the questions, doll up, make sure that your outfits are approachable. You know, you look decent and approachable. So yeah, yesterday was something like a hellscape, you know, really a horrific day. Okay, let's get into depression. Yay, what an exciting topic. I'm kidding. We shouldn't make jokes about depression. Well, the funny thing is people who are depressed, people who are suffering from depression are often very funny because or they make a lot of jokes or they enjoy a lot of comedy, because humor is a fantastic defense mechanism. If you're laughing, you don't have to think about how sick you are. So I'm going to talk about depression, and more specifically my depression and how I got diagnosed and my whole journey up until the admission. So wow, for me it started around age 13, 14. I think I was in grade 8, and I was really having a tough time because my parents were divorcing and we kind of had a messed up couple of years before that, and we witnessed a lot of arguments, and you know, we went to a lot of church, but it didn't seem like church is helping. And well, we were a church going family anyway, and yeah, it just been, you know, things just adding up. And another trigger is that I started menstruating. So I think that introduction of adolescent hormones, because you know, women operate on 4 hormones and men operate on 1. Yeah, like I think it really affected me. But throughout high school, I went to the same high school for 5 years, and it was a highly structured environment. It was very punctual, disciplined. I think the effect of my depression was significantly reduced by school. And I'm finding that children who do have depression, if they have good friends at school, or they have, you know, a supportive community at school, and they have things they need to do, even if the depression persists, the symptoms are a lot more mild. So I think that was the case with me. Yeah, high school, I could tell that something was wrong, but I really felt the depression diagnosis was so extra. Like, no, not for me, even though I tick all the boxes. Yeah, mental health patients often have denial. Also, like, I think my mom suspected that I had depression, and she would pray for me a lot, but she also didn't want me to, or she didn't encourage me to seek medical help. And I think at the time, I don't really blame her because I did well in school. So I think it kind of worked out. Things got bad first year. So I did 2 first years. I did a first year at SMU, and I did you know, another 4 years at UCT. At SMU, that environment really, it wasn't good for me. And not because SMU is a bad place, but I felt really frustrated. I had been rejected from medical school. I was doing a BSc in life sciences and it was freaking difficult. And like I was thrown into this program and like now we're having labs every day, and I didn't have res at first, then I got res and the res was in town. You know, I had to be up at 7, prepared by 7, which isn't bad. But at the time, I really struggled to get out of bed. I really struggled to maintain a normal mood. Guys, I am so sorry. I have to check if this thing is filming. Can I look? Oh, it's filming. Is it the right setting? I think so. I hope so. Yeah, so that was really tough for me. I went into university severely unprepared. Didn't have res. I was doing a lot of long distance travel. I had promised myself I was going to get out of my situation back home and I hadn't succeeded. I felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. And yeah, like it really sucked. So around June, was it June? I started applying to other schools, medical school and other programs. And in September, I got accepted into OT and I didn't think too much of it. And then I continued with my schooling and I failed. In June, I wrote one sub and I eventually passed. In term 2, I failed math and something else. And I just felt like this is the perfect opportunity for me to jump ship. And you know, I'm not a genius or anything, but like school wasn't even that hard. It's just I wasn't applying myself. I didn't have the energy levels. I felt very isolated. I hadn't found people who I truly connected with. I mean, I did have friends, but it was hard for me. I don't want to lie. My heart was not open. And yeah, it was a survival year. So then I went to UCT, and now UCT is a lot nicer. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. You get there, you're already in res. If you don't have money to pay fees right at the beginning of the year, it's fine. They enroll you, then you spend all year looking for funding. For me, I was actually quite fortunate because we were the first group that was sponsored by SFAP, which is becoming quite a popular bursary I'm seeing. And yeah, like it was a good year. I did okay in school. I could have tried harder, but I was finally getting decent marks. You know, not 90s, you know, I'm not a freaking magician. But yeah, I was doing okay in school and we did a lot of anatomy, a lot of psychology. So a lot of those subjects really appealed to me. Then second year, UCT. So now it's my third year in varsity. Oh my gosh, it started out well, but like I was really beginning to fall ill because in the beginning of the year, I couldn't go to school right away. My mom always got paid on the 25th. So if schools opened on the 15th of Jan, I'd come back to school after the 25th. And then I did that. And then this one professor, I will say her name and I don't care. Her name was Professor Madeline Duncan. She really mistreated me even after I sent an email saying, hey, like we're having financial difficulties. I'm going to come at a specific time. And she's like, yeah, but you need to catch up. I understand, but I don't understand. She was a bit high strung. So, you know, I think just coming into that atmosphere really sucked. And then we started doing anatomy too. Oh my word. The previous year we had this nice white man. I'm back. Guys, I'm so sorry if you're seeing different angles and whatever. My camera guy is at school and like I said, we tried to shoot this yesterday when he was around and it just didn't work out. Please forgive me. So where was I? Oh, we started doing anatomy too, and the new lady was so strict. And yeah, like we'd have all these guest lecturers and yeah, like I was attending way more than I attended last year, and like I was failing. I was studying and getting 50s and 60s, pulling all-nighters. So also academically was a very rough year. We were also on upper campus. We had a social psychology class there, and we were doing things like psychiatry, clinical sciences. So it was psychiatry, anatomy, clinical sciences, and other stuff. You know, it was intense, and we were learning a lot more about OT, assessments, block. Yes, so this one time I went to block, and when I got to block, as we were interviewing this patient, practicing our assessment skills, we were at a rehab, but not for drugs, like a physical rehab, like after you get a spinal injury or a stroke. And I'm writing things down. I even think I have a clipboard. And then all of a sudden, my hands start shaking. It's like I've seen a ghost, but I'm not scared. Like, I'm not scared. I'm a little bit worried that, like, what's this hand shaking? Oh my gosh. My worst nightmare has been confirmed. I have diabetes. I'm a diabetic. I knew that one day my genes would come and haunt me. So later that week, my friends encouraged me to go to the doctor, and I went to the doctor. And as I was there by the doctor, they screened me for diabetes, hypertension, medical conditions. Yeah, they found nothing. And then the doctor said, seems like this is more of an anxiety depression issue, and I'm going to refer you to a psychiatrist. So he gives me her business card, and then he gives me these 2 white pills, Ativan, which is the South African equivalent of Valium. He gives me a script. Okay, he doesn't book me off because it's a Friday after school. I'm just there like, anxiety. Guys, you know the stuff is made up, right? Like, no one really has anxiety. It's funny now because living with anxiety, it's really tough. But like at the time, I just thought, no man, I'm just a naturally worried, scared person who doesn't usually sleep very well. I constantly have nightmares. I sometimes worry about things that are not likely to happen. That's normal. Like, guys, please. And then I started seeing a psychologist. This nice lady, she was this American lady, and she was practicing in Rondebosch. On Fridays, I would like climb the... Oh wait, I need to tell you what happened after I took Valium. So this guy, the doctor, asks me, are you gonna be driving back? I'm like, no, I'm gonna use Uber. And he's like, oh, okay, no problem. Here, drink your pills. Here's your script. And then I go back home. But on my way home, I decide, let me stop at campus. Let me grab some lunch. And I got lunch on campus. At the time, like from the from Rondebosch Medical Center until campus, I was fine. Got to campus, bought food. And then suddenly, I just got hit by this wave. I don't know of what. It's like someone dipped my head in like alcohol. I don't know how to describe it. It's like I took shrooms. I was so calm, but so loopy, you know, like, yeah, I think that's the thing. We need a little bit of anxiety to make sure we do things. And it's like I had none. I had no anxiety. I had no motivation. Like, I was just really relaxed. And then one of my classmates came, and I think she was going to the library or something. And I told her, hey, can you please walk me to the bus stop? I come from the doctor. I took these weird pills. I don't know what's going on. I'm scared. I'm worried. Then, which is funny because I shouldn't have been, but I really felt out of control of my body. Like I was having an out of body experience. Let me check. My memory is a bit spotty. Psychoactive drugs do that. Below, a friend of mine at the time, was on the bus, and you know, we were in the same course, lived in the same res, and we were quite good friends. We start talking. I remember us talking. Even to this day, I can't tell you what we spoke about. And you know, this is not a stranger. This is someone you see every day. You have a lot to talk about with them. Then she gets off at Upper, I think. I didn't actually see her. People get back on. Then we go back to res. So at res, as I disembark, so this guy, he's a physio student. He sees I'm not okay. He tries to strike a conversation, and he can see that I don't know, maybe I answered him funny. And he walked me to my room, actually. And he's like, dude, just get into bed, sleep. So I got into bed, slept. And I was passed out for, I think, about 10-12 hours. Apparently people were calling me. Apparently the warden knocked on my door. Apparently people were trying to reach me. I got missed calls. I think my mom also called me because she saw the medical aid thingy. I was knocked out, like out. And at the time I was quite skinny, so I think I took a bit too much Valium. I think they should have given me one or half even. Yeah, it was really weird. And when I spoke to my mom about it later, she's like, you know what, I don't think meds are for you, rather see a psychologist. So I started seeing a psychologist, started talking. And like, the thing about psychology when you're depressed is that it sucks. Like, you have to like tell someone, I am hopelessly sad. I am sad and I don't know what to do and I don't think it's gonna get better and I'm fighting very hard and I'm trying to accept my situation, but it sucks. And she's like, okay, explain your situation. And now you have to go into things, and I mean, it sucks because that's the stuff you want to keep hidden away, right? And the funny thing is, when you leave, you feel relieved. Some sessions would even make me cry. And that was good for me because I never used to cry. You know, bad things would happen to me in high school, first and second year, and I didn't cry. And now I'm crying about it. So it was really good for me. Anyway, got back. Now it's exam season. That's what the GP said, that around exam season, everyone just gets anxious or whatever. And I still thought it was a made-up illness. I mean, me and my psychologist did not discuss depression or anxiety. We discussed childhood trauma, you know, trying to paint a picture of where you come from. And you know, she was a white lady, so I really had to like draw the picture, fill in, you know, add texture. And you know, if you're talking to a black psychologist, there's a lot more shared context. Yeah, like exams, and our first exam was anatomy. Yo, those were dark times. I remember I submitted a psychology essay and I got 31%. And I mean, I'm not a genius, but like, I didn't even try. Like, when I went back to read it, I could just see like, this person's mind is sick. Like, it barely made sense. I think the 31 was even generous. So I have to write anatomy, and I literally can't. Like, I would look at flashcards and that anatomy coloring book story, and like, I would just, it's like I had brain fog. So that's another common term amongst people who suffer from depression. It's like you have this cloud around your head and you can't remember, you can't make decisions, you're really stupid, you don't even know, like, should I have water or juice? You're just overwhelmed, and your problem solving skills way down. And you know, this is the part where a lot of people will start going into substances, reckless behaviors, one night stands, gambling. So that's, you know, when you're a little bit more adult, a lot of people start doing that. What was my coping mechanism? I don't remember. I just called my friend Gia and I said, I don't know what's wrong with me, I just can't be alone. And I spent 3 days with her at her res, and it really helped. But I didn't study at all. And then I went to see the psychiatrist. I had developed this flu that I just couldn't understand. And then even at the psychiatrist's office, I got there late. And then when I was late, we had to reschedule. I started crying, and then I came back on that rescheduled date. I was very sick, like very sick physically. I had this oppressive flu. So she diagnosed me with depression and anxiety, and she said I must start drinking Prozac. And she told me about the drug, that it's cheap, it usually works. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember. Like I said, brain fog. I went home. I think I wrote the rest of my exams. So I deferred the anatomy one. So I was going to write it when I come back. We were preparing for his funeral. But this is the really funny part now. I just need to make sure I'm filming. Now, this is the really funny part. So, I have this terrible flu, man, and this is before COVID. So, I'm coughing. You know, I go to my local GP here in Pretoria. He says it's a throat infection. I drink the antibiotics. I spray. I'm not getting better. And then I'm like, no, man, it's just a stubborn. You know what? I wasn't even thinking about it. Then my uncle says to me, you cough a lot. So this is not my late uncle, it's another uncle. He's like, you're coughing a lot. I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, are you sure it's not TB? I'm like, okay, doctor, relax. Okay, everyone's just freaking out. And like, guys, I'm a healthcare professional. I'm kidding, I was a student at the time. I would know if I have TB. I don't have night sweats. Guys, I had significant challenges with the filming, so I just want to fill in this gap. So what happened was I was diagnosed with TB after denying it so much. Yeah, I was with my cousins in Joburg and I was just chilling, and then I got a call from the clinic and they're saying, we have your test results, you have TB. And I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, like just come through Monday and you can start treatment. So I had been drinking antidepressants at that time, and now I just thought, okay, maybe my changes in appetite and my changes in mood were because now, you know, I had quite a chronic, well, maybe not chronic, but quite a serious illness. So that's how I stopped taking antidepressants, because I remember I had a conversation with my mother and I told her, apparently I have TB, and she's like, what? And she was obviously quite surprised. She even told people that I got it on the airplane back from Cape Town. Yeah, so she was convinced that public transport or exposure to patients was the reason I got TB. So I haphazardly stopped my medication without consulting a health professional, which was a mistake. And for the rest of that year, things went okay-ish, but my depression symptoms did come back. And the reason that I got TB in the first place was because I was so stressed out and sick that I suspect I had latent TB and my immune system just crashed. So my TB flared up after getting, you know, your regular winter flu. So yeah, that was a really tough year. But in terms of depression, I kind of like evened out, plateaued. Things got really bad third year, because now we were doing a mix of classes and we were at placements. So basically we were working and studying at the same time. In terms of depression, there were some light symptoms. I did feel sad and hopeless, but I was going to church a lot and I was mostly anxious. So, I mean, that's another thing I want to share in this video, that if you're anxious for a really, really long time and it's not getting resolved, you're not getting the proper cognitive behavioral therapy, you're not seeing a professional, even without medication, you're just gonna end up depressed, because if you stress about something for a long time and it doesn't seem to be getting solved according to your own standards, you get hopeless and tired and fatigued and negative about the world, quite cynical. So yeah, that was tough, but I did survive third year with the skin of my teeth. I was really anxious that year. I don't know how I made it through. I was highly anxious. I wasn't sleeping very well. I had nightmares constantly. But yeah, the depression wasn't so bad. And then came fourth year. In fourth year, I started obviously on a clean slate, or what felt like a clean slate. It's final year and, you know, we're doing okay. And then all of a sudden, school and academics become a lot. I got really overwhelmed, especially with like block and how much each block counted, and even with the research proposal. I was so relieved when the vice chancellor announced that because of COVID, we're all gonna go home. Yeah, so then it was COVID. Okay, so then it was COVID, and then I was doing my fourth year. It was about April, May, And I was really stressed out. My mom was quite sick at the time. You know, the uncertainty about school. There was just a lot of pressure. I just felt weird, man. I don't know how to describe it. And yeah, I was starting to get sad again. So I went to another GP. Okay guys, like I've said, I'm so sorry about all these angle changes. It's just been a mission and a half. Storage, yeah, do not film. Also sure you have the storage you need. So be sure you have the storage you need. After seeing that GP, I finally accepted that I have a depression diagnosis, that I might need to be on pills long term. And that showed growth in that year. But remember, 3 years later, I was in hospital for feeling suicidal, depression again. So what I'm trying to say is this. You have to grow into these diagnoses, and you have to keep an open mind, because for some people it'll only last 3 months or it's situational, but for some people it'll last longer. It's very important that you get a good psychiatrist who can explain things very clearly to you. And you know, I don't care what the doctors say. Do your own research, okay? There are some symptoms, there are some experiences that are very common across depression patients across the world. And you know, along with depression usually comes the ugly twin, generalized anxiety disorder, also known as anxiety. In my next video, I'll be talking about anxiety and how long it took me to accept that I have anxiety. It took about 8 years, and I'm only dealing with that anxiety now. Depression, it took, how many years did it take? About 5, 6 for me to accept. And once you've accepted, then you do the proper healing. So please don't be surprised when you see people acting weird or funny or going back and forth. It's not really the pills or the system. Any illness that affects your mind is gonna make you seem a little bit flaky, indecisive, and the best thing we can offer our friends and family is support. Remember, like, you have to keep an open mind. You might think you're getting better and you really believe that, and you stop the medication with the help of your psychiatrist, and a month later you don't feel better, or you lose someone you love, or things change and you're back on the medication again. Nothing's wrong with that. So always have a good psychologist on standby. Work with one psychiatrist. If you're not happy with the results you're getting, you can change, but rather change than stay at home, and rather inquire at your local clinic than do nothing at all, okay? I know it's not easy to use public health services, but the dangerous thing about depression is that people can become suicidal and then eventually commit it. So we just have to be careful and take care of our mental health and keep an open mind. Just keep an open mind and talk about it as much as you can with your friends and family, even if you don't have it. And just check on each other. I think that's the one point I just want to make sure we're all on, that we are checking on each other. We are asking the right questions. We're checking in with ourselves to make sure, you know, am I feeling okay? I feel a bit stressed. Maybe I should see a psychologist. So thank you guys for tuning in. It literally took almost everything I had in me to produce this episode. Thank God I don't have to edit. My friend Gia does it for me. You can email me if you want her details. She's very good. But thank you guys for tuning in. And if you have any questions, please use the email about anything mental health related. And yeah, I think after a few episodes, we're going to do some lifestyle content, so it's not too heavy. And yeah, just to show people that even if you have these diagnoses, it's not the end of the world. Thank you very much for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next week Sunday at 3 p.m. A fresh new episode. Thank you for all the support you've shown me on my previous episode. And next week, I'll have my story in order. You're going to get everything in 4K 60. Storage, as they say in Pretoria. So thank you guys. I really appreciate you enduring the way I have endured. I feel like Maya Low. Hi, Maya Angelo. Bye bye.